News about Jungkook Palace again shook the virtual universe. This time it's not just idle gossip or speculation, but a real portrait of the hard work of a Jungkook who for years chose to be silent, work, and let the results speak. In recent days, the word Jungkook Palace viral has become one of the most talked about topics, not only in army circles, but also in Korean to international entertainment media. The stately home, which is touted as a palace, is not just a symbol of wealth, but a representation of an idol's long journey that grows from scratch, is full of pressure, and often carries a burden that is not visible to the public. The virality of Jungkook Palace started from a visual snippet that spread widely on social media. Without exaggeration, without official clarification, the pieces actually provoked the curiosity of the public. Many fell silent, paying attention to every detail with a mixture of awe and emotion. Not because of his sheer extravagance, but because of who Jungkook is and how he got to this point. For longtime fans, the house is like a silent answer to a question that Jungkook has never said in person. Has all the fatigue, tears, and sacrifice finally paid off? Jungkook is not a figure born out of convenience. Since his teens, he has left his home, family, and adolescence for a dream that even then was not clear form. At an age when many kids his age are still searching for their true selves, Jungkook has learned about hard discipline, long hours of practice, relentless criticism, and a constant fear of failure. All this he lived without open complaints. He prefers to keep everything in work, in training, in an effort to always perform better than the day before. Jungkook Palace, which is now viral, seems to be a silent monument from that trip. Many netizens called it a symbol of proof that hard work never betrays results. But behind these cliché sentences, a much more complex reality is stored. The house was not built from overnight popularity or one or two successful songs, but rather from the accumulation of long years full of mental and physical stress. Jungkook grew up under a global spotlight, where his every move was judged, his every expression analyzed, and his every decision debated. What makes the public even more touched is the impression that the palace is not just for showing off. Many fans highlighted how Jungkook has been known to be very secretive about his personal life. He rarely flaunts luxury, rarely talks about assets, and more often lets others speculate. Therefore, when a real symbol like this magnificent house is finally seen, the reaction is not jealousy, but pride and excitement. As if the public was finally allowed to see one small piece of the hard work that had been hidden in the developing narrative. Jungkook's palace is also associated with his responsibilities as a child. Over the years, Jungkook has been known as a person who values his family very much. Many fans believe that one of his biggest motivations for working nonstop is the desire to provide a decent and safe life for the people he loves. The magnificent house was seen not only as a personal achievement, but also as a form of devotion and a silent promise that was finally fulfilled. The Korean media themselves highlight this phenomenon with a more reflective point of view. Jungkook is a rare example of an idol who has withstood the extreme pressures of the entertainment industry without losing his way. He does not get caught up in big scandals, is not distracted by instant glitters, and remains focused on music and self-development. Jungkook Palace, in this context, is seen as the result of consistency and patience, two things that are increasingly rare in this fast-paced era. Interestingly, the virality of this palace also led to a wider discussion about the price an idol must pay to reach the top. Many netizens recalled moments of Jungkook looking exhausted on stage, injuries he hid, to his past emotional confessions of pressure and fear of disappointing others. All of them now feel connected, like pieces of a puzzle that finally form a whole picture. The palace was not the end of the story, but rather one of the stopping points on a still long journey that, on the other hand, there are also skeptical voices that question why material achievements are always in the spotlight. But the biggest response came precisely from those who saw the house as a symbol of security and tranquility. After years of living under tight schedules and the public spotlight, having a safe and comfortable private space is considered an emotional necessity, not just a luxury. For Jungkook, the palace may not have been about size or value, but rather about a home that finally felt like home. Army's reaction on various platforms shows how emotional this moment is. Many wrote that they felt like they grew up with Jungkook. From shy trainee to global superstar, every phase of his life is followed by prayers, support, and worries. When Jungkook Palace went viral, many cried not out of admiration, but because they felt that the struggle was finally seen by the world. It's as if the world has finally recognized what so far only loyal fans know. Viral Jungkook Palace is not just news about the property of a famous idol. This is a story about time, about perseverance, and about someone who chose to persevere when giving up felt easier. In an industry that often swallows and forgets talent, Jungkook stands as an example that consistency and hard work still have a place. The stately home stood not just on dirt and concrete, but on years of practice, tears, loneliness, and dreams that he never let go. In the end, Jungkook Palace is a mirror. For some, it reflects success. For others, it reflects sacrifice. But for Jungkook himself, it is likely that he is just one chapter of a life journey that is still going on. Viral or not, what is clear is that years of hard work finally looks real, and the world is watching it with a mixture of admiration, emotion, and deep respect. The continuation of the story of Jungkook Palace actually opens up a deeper space for reflection on the meaning of success itself. After the initial euphoria subsided, many observers began to see this phenomenon no longer as sensational news, but rather as a portrait of a human journey that grew amid tremendous pressure. Jungkook, who has been known as the Golden Magne since his youth, is now in a phase of life where the results of his hard work can no longer be hidden. Although he himself always tries to keep his distance from excessive spotlight, in the Korean entertainment industry, owning a luxury home is not entirely foreign to top idols. But what makes Jungkook Palace feel different is the emotional context behind it. Jungkook grew up before the public, almost without a break between childhood and adulthood. He learns to be strong when the world demands him to always be perfect. Every small mistake can be the subject of great criticism. Every burnout is often mistaken for a lack of professionalism. In such conditions, just surviving is an achievement, let alone building something real and permanent. Many later recalled how Jungkook was often seen as a figure who was always smiling in front of the camera, but kept the burden behind the scenes. On several occasions, he had expressed the fear of not being good enough, of disappointing those who believed in him. These confessions now feel even more relevant when the public sees the real results of the long journey. Jungkook Palace is proof that fear and doubt do not stop him, but fuel him to keep going. This viral phenomenon has also led to discussions about how the public often sees idols from only one side. Jungkook is often adored for his talent and visuals, but his consistent hard work often goes unnoticed. Long hours of practice, the pressure to always be relevant, and the responsibility of carrying the group's name on the global scene are part of a routine that is rarely seen. The palace, indirectly, forced the public to admit that Jungkook's success was not an instant result, but a long, sacrificial process.